Okay, still Wednesday, and this is my number 3 in my series about First Amendment. And part of this, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you one of the things I was trying to do, and that is to help Michelle and John out in some way. And I felt that bully tactics were being used, and that's why I started using my channel to show what some of these tactics are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read investigations by deputies connected with the Levy County Sheriff's Department down there in Florida. And then that is a county that Lynette, Preston, and John Cook live in. All right. Now, first of all, I'm going to tell you in this report here, the sheriff, deputy sheriff name. He is a sergeant, and his name is Sergeant T. Gaffey. All right? His badge number is 581, and the report date was 11/5/2024. So, here we go. On 11/5/24, I responded for a call for service in reference to a possible violation of a civil injunction between Hales, Cook, and Preston. Hales requested a phone call from a deputy, and I took the call. I called Hales on his phone, and he advised that he had 4 videos showing Cook violating the injunction put in place out of Ohio. At this time, I advised him that I would respond and meet him in person so I could get a copy. Hales advised he already had the video on USB drive for me. Okay, thumb drive. I responded to his location in Otter Creek and made contact with him at the front door to the old schoolhouse. He had the videos on his phone, and he went through each video with me on his phone. Hales provided me with the USB drive, and I provided him with a business card with a current case number on it. Okay. From Hales' location, I went to the home of Preston and Cook to make contact with them. They were not home, and I was unable to make contact with them. I left the residence and responded to the sheriff's office to review the 4 videos provided by Hales. I reviewed the entirety of all the videos. While reviewing the videos, I made contact with Cook and Preston by office phone. While on the phone, I went through each allegation with them, and they said at each time they did not make contact and left the location. Once incident, they passed on the roadway to their home. The window was up, and they never made contact with Hales. One incident, Cook was at his gate, and Hales drove by, and Cook grabbed his phone to respond. Oh, by the way, it says Hales drove by recording. Okay, in other words, he had his phone out and he was taking a video at the front gate. Cook grabs his phone to record Hales to protect himself, and says to the phone, okay, now he's talking to the phone at the time, "See, Your Honor," and that was what he put on the phone, okay? I asked Cook about this, and he said that to record Hales to protect himself, and said to the phone, "See this, Your Honor." I asked Cook about this, and he said he recorded the continued harassment from Hales so he could turn it into the Ohio courts. Another incident, Cook pulls into the Otter Creek post office, and Hales pulls in behind him. Cook said he got out, and Hales yelled at him to leave. Cook said he got back into his vehicle to leave the property and went to the neighboring property quickly and then left. The last incident, Hales is following one of the workers on a lawnmower from the road in front of the Cook and Preston residence. Hales recording as he passes by the front of the home. Hales says He hears something said about his wife, cancer. Then I reviewed this recording. I could not distinguish that any contact was made. After review of the videos, speaking with all parties involved, the case is unfounded. Okay? Now, by the way, these were turned in apparently to the Ohio, but without the paperwork from the deputies. This case is unfounded as it does not meet statutory requirements. A copy of the Ohio injunction was added to this report. The videos taken by Hales and the dash camera footage were all added to the Levy County SO evidence. All right, now, that doesn't end it. Or actually, it does on that one. That had to do with 4 different things. Okay, now, I got another one here. This incident. On January 19th, 2025, approximately 1440 hours, that's 2:40 in the afternoon, I responded to, and it's the address, in the violation of injunction complaint. Upon arrival, now this is another report, and this one was done by, I better tell you the deputy's name so you know what I'm talking about. Corporal McIntyre, badge number 761 of the Levy County Sheriff's Department. Oh, Jeremy Hales was actively videotaping our interaction. Jeremy Hales stated he drove past the residence of Lynette Preston and gave the location, to which he observed the suspect, John Cook, standing in the yard. Jeremy stated that John yelled words towards him while he drove by, which was a violation of the protection order of Ohio. See protection order attached to the report. Jeremy stated that he had the entire incident recorded from his cell phone, that he had downloaded it into a USB drive. Jeremy produced the USB drive, advised that I could depart the scene with it. Jeremy encouraged me to speak with John and to thoroughly investigate the event that unfolded. I then left the area. Upon the review of the footage, I witnessed Jeremy exiting the property of the gates located, and he gives a location of where Jeremy had been, which entered into the roadway of Otter Creek Avenue. Jeremy then drives past Lynette's residence and observed John Cook standing in the yard on the video. John could be heard yelling, "Hide the child," repeatedly, and OCC. During that time, another individual, later identified as being Andrew, and I'm not going to give his last name, can be seen on the ladder, apparently working on hanging something upon a tree in the yard. After fully passing the residence, the video shows Jeremy proceeding back towards the entrance of his property, and it gives that location again. After reviewing the video evidence, I went to Lynette's residence to further investigation. Once there, I made contact with John. John stated that he was not speaking to Jeremy during the interaction, and that he was yelling, "Hide the child," because Jeremy had been attempting to film their small child on the property. He advised that he was yelling to Lynette to put the child in the residence in order to avoid having her being caught on video. When asked what OCC means, John stated that stands for Orange County Choppers, because he is a fan of their work. I then spoke to Andrew, who, this was the person at the time that was there with Jeremy, who advised that John never attempted to speak at all to or towards Jeremy during this incident. Andrew and John said that they were rehanging a large canvas in the yard in order to keep their lives as private as possible from Jeremy's relentless videotaping of the property. I then departed the scene. By the way, there's been several pictures put up of these tarps that are hanging on that property, and trying to make people think that it's a kind of like a junky area or something. Those were hung up there so that you couldn't see where the child actually plays out in the yard. Later, I had another opportunity to review the footage from the incident. Jeremy stated on the opening of the video that, I want you to listen to this. Unfortunately, it's time to drive past these psychos. Now, this is a quote. It has quotation marks. The deputy puts on there. This is a quote from Jeremy on the tape. I'm going to repeat that. Unfortunately, it's time to drive past these cycles. However, there is an alternative route that Jeremy could travel, which would avoid Lynette's residence completely, and let's go northbound on Otter Creek Avenue towards US 19. Jeremy's Ohio protection states that the court finds by a preponderance of evidence that I, respondent, has knowingly engaged in a pattern of conduct that caused petitioner to believe that respondent will cause physical harm or cause mental distress. And number two, the following orders are equitable, fair, and necessary to protect the persons named in the order from stalking offenses. All right, here the deputy is giving more on here. Being that Jeremy is apparently in fear that John Cook could possibly physically harm or mental distress, it is peculiar why he would knowingly drive the most direct route towards their residence instead of seeking an alternate route direction to avoid them entirely. Apparently, in the video, Jeremy can be seen driving his vehicle at a very slow pace past the residence. It does not appear as though he is traveling at a common pace, and it seems to be as though he deliberately searching for a reaction from John and residents of the property. Jeremy stops his vehicle at the roadway to offer, or to deliberately searching for a reaction. Okay, here, let me go over the words again. He is traveling at a common pace, seems to be as though he is deliberately searching for a reaction from John or other residents of the property. Jeremy stops his vehicle in the roadway to offer a brief narration. During the video, he is recording, and once the vehicle begins moving again, and he gives a distance, Jeremy drives this distance for a time frame of approximately 95 seconds. Using the basic formula, he was able to determine that the speed was 3.667 miles per hour. Once Jeremy passes the property line, he speeds up and proceeds to SR 24 on Otter Creek Avenue. During the span of 632 feet, he covered the distance in 27 seconds, which equated to approximately 23,474 feet per second, or 15.95 miles per hour. You might as well 16 miles an hour, but there it is. Being that Jeremy is allegedly in fear, physical harm, or mental distress may come to him as a result of the interactions with John and Lynette, I found it added that he would I found it odd that he would intentionally slow his driving speed while driving in front of their property. During the recording, it was witnessed Jeremy was raising his recording device above his head and roof outside his vehicle. Lynette owns an approximately 6-foot-tall privacy fence which uses to shield her property from the view of the public. Jeremy has witnessed intentionally trying to see over it in order to garner a reaction from the inhabitants and to witness elements within the property that were not easily witnessed from persons of the public at the roadway. Jeremy called back sometime later to state, okay, now he's given instructions now at this time, to the deputy, that he had reviewed the footage himself after he spoke to this deputy, and noticed that John had double middle fingered him as he drove by. He advised that he wanted it documented in the report that it was a violation of protection order to being a form of communications with him. In other words, when he drove by, he's saying that he's got him on video, that he gave him the finger. I'm assuming he means the middle finger. Upon initial review of the video, I did witness that John reached behind his back. Now, we're talking about he had his back to where Jeremy was apparently driving by, taking a video picture of John on his property. And by the way, John was way up on the other end by the tarps where they were trying to hang him. I did witness that John reached behind his back during the incident that was recorded. However, no discernible hand gestures could be recognized due to the poor quality of the video. At first glance, I believe that John was simply adjusting his shirt while he was working. The speed and manner of the movement did not indicate to me any type of vulgar gesture was being displayed. But on speaking with John, again later, he advised that he was stretching his back from work and that he was performing. He stated he placed both hands behind his lower part of his back and stretched backwards. Upon my first interaction with John earlier, I did notice that he was visibly sweaty and noticeably tired from working in the yard. During this type of manual labor, it is common for individuals to stretch their backs in this fashion, described by John. Attached to this report is a zoomed image of the gesture in which Jeremy is referring to. Based upon Jeremy's statements, the video provided, and the testimony of the subject located at Otter Creek Avenue, I have found no probable cause to believe a violation of the Ohio Protection Order had taken place. From all appearances, it seems as though Jeremy is trying to elicit response from the parties involved and is intentionally provoking them into possibly committing some type of violation. Jeremy does not seem to be in fear of physical attack nor any type of mental anguish as a result of being in such proximity to the subjects. From all evidence collected, Jeremy appears to be purposely interjecting himself into the lives of the other individuals. My interaction with all parties was recorded on my body-worn microphone and in my car video camera was operational as well. These recordings are available through UDE if needed. A copy of this footage collected was submitted to the files, and it gives a file and folder, and evidence to this report. Case stated unfounded. Okay. Now, the reason I read that to you is I wanted you to understand something. To me, my opinion is the same as the deputy. Now, this deputy is trained to investigate when people make a complaint. It's not his first rodeo, apparently. And he went back and did this so he could cross the T's and dot the I's. Jeremy asked him and told him what was going on there, and so he did a thorough investigation as he was asked by the plaintiff, or the guy that made the statement. And it was found that, in fact, John and Michelle were on their own property, doing work on the property. They had an explanation of what was going on, and the verbiage that they say matches up with what is on the film. And I read to you reports from the year before of the goings-on 4 different incidents on or around the town of Otter Creek, where the residences are, at the post office and different places. Recently, something similar to that happened at Walmart. John was in there purchasing some items. He was indeed leaving the Walmart at the time somebody had alerted Jeremy that apparently that John was in the store, and he knew nothing about Jeremy being in the store. No, nothing. And the camera, overhead cameras, caught Jeremy looking around and trying to find him, and he is filming with a camera, trying to catch him somewhere in that store, and indeed catches up with him at the counter at the registry where he was trying to leave, and he was yelling and screaming at him at a very loud voice, accosting John. Not the reverse. John never said anything to him, and he left. He didn't look around, didn't do anything. He just left. He knew who it was by the voice. He did not know why Jeremy was there specifically, but the conclusion is this: Jeremy was seeking him out. He was not seeking Jeremy out. It was proven on the cameras. I'd say the proof's in the pudding there. In other words, this PO may be, in my opinion, used as a stick against John and Miss Preston. Now, because I spoke my piece, I'm being involved in this lawsuit. Now, all I'm trying to do is give some space for Lynette and John and their family so that they can have a normal home life on their property, in their town. They're there 12 months out of the year. Jeremy is there as a snowbird. He's out of there off and on during the year, but actually it's more of a snowbird type of residence for him. He has what he calls a ranch, which is apparently like a hunting camp, and the schoolhouse that he purchased. Now, according to the different films that have been provided, or videos, and they've been shown on the venue of the video from 2 Lees in a Pod, of him going past that fence on a regular basis, trying to film over the top of it. And since this has all happened, a screening was put up in that area at the very front, over the fence itself, to try to dissipate or stop the cameras from across the road at YouTube. They call it YouTube, which is Jeremy's property. There's cameras up there. At one time, they counted 9 of them. Now, today as I speak, I don't know how many are there. But they were pointed towards the property over there. And it seems like when John and Michelle would leave, apparently they must be sensitive to traffic, so that an alert maybe goes to a phone. I don't know that. It's an opinion, but it seems funny that when they leave to go somewhere, these people were showing up. It's very hard to live in that environment, and that's why I say I thought, to me, it was bully type things going on. Now, another part of this, there's a guy named Bruce, or Matskin. That's Bruce. That's a report that reports on lawyers. You see that down there? 4.95 client reviews, stars. 4.9 stars. The reason it come out that way, it was 5 of the stars were by 94%, 4 stars by 6%. This report showed no negative reviews at the time. This was for the year 24 and also part of the year 25. Bruce Maskin. This is a lawyer that they harassed and that asked to be off the court case. He was pro bono. You'll be able to read all you want to during the different videos that were put up about Otter Creek, about this man. But he worked for free trying to help these same people out. And indeed, He's on the same, being sued in the same court case I am, in a federal civil case that was added on while he was fighting for the freedom from this case of Lynette and John. Lynette and John are being sued again by the same guy in a civil case, asking for damages, as well as Bruce, myself, another lawyer, MLS, 2 leaves in a pod, getting swamped. Milltown's best. So when you go over and over this, all of us, because we stuck our necks out for a family out there, they're saying that we defamed him and did all kinds of stuff, tried to stop his channel from making a living. Our only intent was to help relieve some of what we would believe, and I say we loosely. Each of us has our own opinion of Jeremy, and we've described it on our channels, and that is why we're on here. Not because we're a group that got together. We have never got together in person. At least I have not got in person with any of these people. I have been on several channels as a guest, but I live in another state, quite a ways away from Florida. All these people supposedly are wrong in their guesstimate, and yet the police were involved in this thing. They were involved to the point where they said these things were unfounded, that they were trying to charge Michelle, and that Michelle wasn't, and John, they weren't harassing Jeremy during these reports. But these reports aren't on the judge's desk. They will be, my understanding is, because it's going to be part of what they're going to use to try to fight back on this protection order that Jeremy got in Ohio. Remember, this is in Florida, by the way, these offenses. Well, that's all I've got for today, and this is this is my number 3 for the series that I'm putting up about my freedom of speech. Part of my freedom of speech is taking reports and reporting them on here so that people can see them, to know what is going on by professionals that are observing the conditions that are going on at the Preston residence and at the Hales residence. Unfounded are the charges. Unfounded. Now, if you think these are fake, go ahead and go to Levy County, request the reports yourself. That's all. That's all you've got to do. You've got what I've said on here. You can verify it. Maybe they'll tell you over the telephone, yeah, we have a report, and yes, that's what they say. You don't have to take my word for it. If you want the paperwork in your hand, go ahead and contact them. They'll gladly send the reports to you. The Sunshine Law makes it legal for you to request them. You get everything that I've got sitting right here, every bit of it. Every word is the same. I haven't changed them. That's it for me. This thing went to a half hour, which is a little longer than I wanted it. I wanted to keep them very short. I have went over it before, but that was before I was given this this lawsuit trying to curtail my freedom of speech. I have a right to tell you what the real story is. Kind of like Paul Harvey's story, that storyline from way years ago. And now you have the rest of the story. It's the proof, people, the proof. I'm not just out there spreading lies. This is proof. This is proof. One of the things in there that I was accused of is saying, repeating his own verbiage about wanting money so he can give you more money back. That was taken from one of his Sunday lives. We actually have that in the proof to defend ourselves in this lawsuit. The judge will be able to look at it, and the jury will be able to look at it. This is going to be before a jury, people. And these lies go on, and then it's dramatically written as if it is before the jury already for the judge to decide this court thing that's going to go on. To me, I think it's frivolous, but we'll find out. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to fight it to the very end. You got to understand, this guy has made a stance and said that he wants to take everything. People get into my chat on a regular basis and say, Ray, you're going to lose everything. How do you feel about that? But they make a reference about my truck. You're going to lose that truck. Your wife is going to have nothing. What's she going to do? They're going to take everything you got, Ray. These verbal threats, they're made to mentally attack me on a weekly basis. Everybody, believe me, you get bombarded with this stuff, and they don't snatch that out of the air. They're told that on the different videos that are put up. All right, that's enough for today. I will put up another one very soon. I'm going to do it as quickly as I can. Most of them will be shorter than this. With that, I want you to have a good day. It's Wednesday. This is my second one for the day. I wanted to get it up because I wanted you to understand this lawyer is an accredited lawyer. Satisfaction. He helps people out that need help. He worked pro bono on this case. He asked to get off from it. I am going to explain why he asked to get off from it. During the process of all this, he did not appear before a judge down in Florida. Because of that, he was told to submit paperwork explaining why he did not. And he was only given a short time to get that back to the judge, federal magistrate. He did comply with that and did make sure that that judge had the paperwork. All of the things that he said that are evidence in this trial. It has been over 2 months, and nothing has been given back to Bruce as to how it was accepted by the judge. In that documents that he sent in, there's evidence of criminal activities. And what are they? Intimidation of an officer of the court, the lawyer. Okay? That is offense. It's a felony when you do that. So, and we'll go over something like that before I get through this. This is all part of what's going on in my fighting for my freedom of speech. I am going to go over it until everybody has seen it. Please share what I've given you. On a regular basis, they're sharing this with up to somewhere in the neighborhood, and I say they because there are other channels that follow Jeremy's. One of them actually has over 500,000 people for followers. Jeremy has over 730,000. There's one in there with about 350,000. There's another one in there with 50,000 plus. What I'm trying to tell you is there's a lot of interaction going here. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5 million subscribers out there. They're listening to that side on a regular basis. I have somewhere around 8,000 people follow my channel. That's it. Two Lees in a Pod, they have a little over 3,000 people on their channel. That's it. Millstown Best, I think he has somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000. Let's see. Bruce has a very small following on his YouTube. As a matter of fact, he says nothing on the YouTube about the case. What else we got there? There's a guy named Guapo that he keeps threatening to sue. Guapo has a little over 30,000. These are all small channels compared to any one of these major players that are trying to curtail any activities that's going on with Michelle and John and their little daughter. It is truly a tale of David and Goliath. Okay, well, there again. I'm going to say this. John likes to end with ta-ta, and that's what I'm going to do right here. Ta-ta.